and that we've got to get rid of billionaires and we've got to size this up. But you know what? They've never done it. They don't have the power. They don't have the courage. They don't have the integrity because they're not willing to bring you the details of Patrick Lovell is. Okay? I'm done with this. Aren't you? Haven't you had enough? How much longer do you want to live a lie? How much longer do you want to live a life of illusion? How much longer do you want to pretend that the United States is one thing when it's not? That doesn't mean it can't be, but it's not now because you're too in the dark. There's a lot of things you can kind of fill in the blanks of what I might infer depending on who you are. But if you don't have a college education and you don't have the capacity to do what I've done, where you've gone around the world, you can't honestly get the truth. That's why I brought it to you. It takes a shit ton of work because ultimately I did the work that the New York Times, the FBI, the DOJ, the SEC, all the papers around the country didn't do because they're all in on it. The fountainhead of this system is the Federal Reserve. They're the ones who can digitize money into existence. It goes into asset managers in the financial system, which are, all of these different sorts of scenarios like hedge funds and private equity firms. And what their game is ultimately asset increase for the rich people, right? What they've done is they pacified the top 10% of this country. So people who are smart and people who go to college and they get an education, they become professionals, be it doctors, accountants, this and that, and whatever else. And accountants, I don't mean honest because there's a lot of dishonest accountants, but a lot of accountants are doing some great work too, I'm sure. But anyway, the bottom line is that, if they come up through their lifetimes and they have X amount of money that they can save and then they can, over and above what they need for their lives and to support their family, they do what's known as investing because you want your money to work for you. It's a beautiful system if it works, but it's turned into this absolute polluted Ponzi scheme where we got rid of literally this is what it's all about. We got rid of the foundation and the mechanics and just the common sense of supply and demand. It's ridiculous because the Federal Reserve is both supply and demand. It provides free money to the asset managers and the financial class that then use this hocus pocus machine of bullshit that creates, all sorts of sawdust securities that the Fed then buys back and actually backstops criminals from all over the world. That's what we call the FinCEN files. So you have like drug cartels and enemies of the state and terrorists and everyone else. They get millions and billions and trillions of dollars from all over the world, and guess where they put it? They don't put it into Switzerland as much as they do now the United freaking States. And guess why? Because the United States is laundering that money into what? Our assets. Because there has to be a buffer, by the way, because of a law called Dodd-Frank that basically said the banks can't lend based on certain ratios unless because we got in trouble in 2008 because of leverage. And there's apparently shit tons of leverage out there and derivatives and everything right now. Like, for example, I did know that back in 2008, we had $600 to $700 trillion in derivatives. That number is exponentially larger than that now. Futures, hedges, and everything else. This is what happened when you have crap.